it's been something that, as you know, we spent 250 years in slavery and fighting against each other, teaching us to not trust each other. Despite your qualifications, you'll find that some black people, and you'll be surprised who they are, will not trust you. They won't come to you no matter what the situation is. It's self-hatred. I mean, again, it's self-hatred.
At the many meetings, school board meetings I used to go to a lot. They threw me in jail. I don't know if you knew I got a...
You sound like you're running for mayor right now.
No, I'm not. If we can have a trillionaire in our society, I know we can have universal health care.
Right. I said, tell Papa I'm going to jail. I was handcuffed behind my back.
Who's scared of you. Mm-hmm. You can be 5'2", he can be 6'2", 240. You might be 5'2" and weigh 140, and he's gonna be afraid of you because of just your voice, your looks. And yeah, I know it's not right, but you don't want to lose your life to some crazy white man.
We have to be selfless instead of selfish.
Yes.
Let me say that one more time for good measure. We have to be selfless.
Strive for it.
Instead of selfish. Always striving for that.
All right, welcome back to Real Talk with Illa Gezey. Today, I have the honor of interviewing two special guests. They've dedicated decades to civil rights, healthcare, community service, local activism, and so much more. Dr. Brenda Williams and Dr. Joseph C. Williams. I appreciate y'all for being here.
Good morning. We thank you. We thank you. And it's an honor to be here.
Thank you very much for allowing us to talk with you today.
Yes, sir. Just to get straight into it, I know a lot of people in my space may not know about you guys, so I just want to first talk about where you guys originally from, because y'all not really from Sumter, born and raised, right?
Right.
That's right.
And you know one thing, check this out. I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I am on the battlefield for my Lord. Well, and I promise him that I will serve him till I die. I am on the battlefield for my Lord. I'm Dr. Brenda C. Williams, born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, and this is my husband.
My name is Dr. Joseph C. Williams. I'm born in a big old town called Catawba, Georgia, outside of Columbus, Georgia, which is about 360 miles from here.
Okay. What brought y'all to South Carolina?
Well, you know, it's a kind of a long story. You know, we met, I went to college in Macon, Georgia, at Mercer University.
Okay.
And my wife and I met each other back in 1972 at the Medical College of Georgia. We both were attending a program that was aimed at trying to increase the number of black students, black people into medicine. And my wife and I both were on that program. So we met each other then. And from that point on, you know, Macon is in the middle of Georgia. Augusta is in eastern Georgia. Then we moved later on. We got married to Columbia, South Carolina, that we stayed there about almost 3 years.
Okay.
And we've been here in Sumter now for 44 years. So
wow.
Although I'm not born in Sumter, I think I'm just as much of a Sumterite as anybody else, because I've been here longer than most people have been living, you know. So we know quite a bit about Sumter. This is our home. And not born here, but feel a very big part of being here.
And yes, and like my husband said, we were born and raised in Georgia. However, with our medical school and training after medical school, we looked at a place that actually had a significant number of black folk in it. We knew that we would set up a private practice of medicine, and we knew just from the get-go that black folks setting up a business, 9 times out of 10, most of the clientele would be black folk. And we particularly wanted to treat our people.
That's right.
And so we looked at Sumter. I was doing some moonlighting in the emergency room of Toomey Hospital. Moonlighting means we were living in Columbia, but I was traveling to Sumter periodically to work in the emergency room. And I kept looking around. I didn't see any black doctors at the hospital. So I asked the nurses, I said, y'all got any black doctors at this hospital? So one nurse said, yeah, I said, well, who is he? She says, Dr. William Boatman. So I went to the phone book, old-fashioned phone book. When we used to
Yeah.
have phone books. And I looked up William Boatman, Bultman. But anyway, I called him. I said, hey, Dr. Boatman. He said, yeah. I said, my name is Brenda Williams, and I'm a physician. My husband's a physician, and we live in Columbia. But we like Sumter. We ride through Sumter on weekends looking for churches, and we purposefully went to small churches. We wanted to find a place where there wasn't a whole lot of big shots.
Right.
We just wanted to mix in with the real people.
Right.
And so we went to the smallest Black church we could find
Which one was
in
that?
Sumter. We went to St. James, United Methodist. We went to St. Luke,
Okay.
out there on the highway, the 378. And we went to a couple of other ones. There's one on Community Street, a little tighter street. But anyway, and we decided to move, not only to go to church in Sumter, but to move to Sumter, because we found out that the population, about half and half Black folk, half white folk, and we just felt comfortable among our people.
Okay.
Let me give you a little slight different take on that.
Okay.
My wife was working here in the emergency room at Toomey Hospital. But at the same time, I was a chief medical resident at the VA hospital in Columbia. And then later I became an employee there.
Right.
And I met a lot of men who were from this area, from Sumter. And many of them kept telling me, so, man, we don't have enough Black doctors in Sumter. And I must have met at least 30 or 40 guys who were from this area. And my wife and I, that's when we started talking about the possibility of us moving over here. Because again, if you're going to be a Black professional, a particular medical professional, lawyer, whatever, typically you got to depend on your people.
Right.
To help provide your source of income, and also for you to, because, in this country, as you know, it's built on white supremacy and racism, you're going to get, most of your people are going to be Black who are going to come to you. Okay? And it doesn't have anything to do with qualifications or anything else, but most of your clientele is going to be Black.
Right.
You will get some white people.
Right.
There'll be some Black people you won't get, because unfortunately, white supremacy has gotten us.
The minds.
Exactly. And it's been something that, as you know, we spent 250 years in slavery and fighting against each other.
Yep.
Teaching us to not trust each other. And so despite your qualifications, you'll find that some Black people, and you'll be surprised who they are, will not trust you. They won't come to you no matter what the situation is.
Why do you think is that?
It's self-hatred. I mean, again, it's self-hatred.
It's a legacy of slavery.
It's a self-hatred that the slavery caused. In other words, everything that a Black professional does, it's got to be perfect. You know that, what you do in life. I mean, no matter what you do in life, you're going to be judged against a standard that very few people can meet. It's almost like a perfect standard.
You're right.
Because if you fall anywhere beneath that, for example, if you've done something wrong in your life, it's going to be difficult for you to get over that, because, I mean, you know how our people are. I mean, again, I'm sorry for talking too much, but
no, you good. Talk. But while you're on that topic, I did see something similar to what you're saying, because I don't know if y'all saw the trial of Rick Chow, and Shaun Kent was the lawyer. He's a Black lawyer.
Yes, we saw that.
He was being heavily criticized because he's what he called is the best lawyer in the state, but he's Black. So he was leaning on the side to where, I'm the best lawyer, I'm Black, but y'all don't want me to take cases particular based on emotions and stuff like that. Y'all can relate to that?
Yeah, we know him.
Y'all know him personally?
Yes, we do.
I tried to get him on it.
I don't, but I'm, as you said, I'm not here to criticize people, but I think that anybody who knows the particular that case, this man chased this young boy down who they thought did something, chased him over a football field length, and then murdered him. That man should have gone to jail. I mean, to me, there's There's no excuse for that.
I thought they overcharged him and probably should have been manslaughter. Only because from listening to the evidence on it, they were saying he had the little boy and he was trying to bring breath back in him. He was sucking up his vomit and spitting it back out. So I thought maybe that is part of the reason why they didn't convict him of murder, just because after he shot him, he was allegedly trying to save the boy.
Yeah, but he should never have shot at him. I mean,
that's a fact.
I mean,
I agree.
I understand too. Were there black people on the jury?
There were about 5, I believe. Yeah,
that tells you something.
It tells you a lot.
Because I understand. I mean, again, there's a lot. I didn't hear the deliberations and the trial and what was said and all that. But it's just a very outside circumstance of what happened. Seems to me that's not justified.
Right.
And, you know, being a Black professional person like we are, and we're sitting in a Black establishment, even right now, restaurant.
Yep.
When we step on the public stage, and the stage where the community is, the public, the world, people are going to judge what we do and put that on the whole race of Black people.
Yes.
On the whole race.
Yes.
Much to what you all were saying about the trial. We have elections, Democratic and Republican elections and independent people. And there are a lot of people in our world think that all Black people got to think the same way, walk the same steps, and do the same thing. But that's never been true with Black people. We have to stand up for what we feel is right. Yes, most Black people feel that racism and disenfranchisement is wrong. Injustice is wrong. Most Black people think that way, but you'll be surprised how many Black folk don't think that way.
Yeah.
We have votes thrown out illegally in America and so forth. And there's some Black people, I remember, and I won't talk long on this, but I remember back in 2012 when the state of South Carolina, when America was talking about photo ID, and if you didn't have a photo ID from the state of South Carolina, then you wouldn't be able to vote and so forth. And so many people didn't have a photo ID because they were born in rural South Carolina and didn't have a birth certificate and went through all of their lives with no birth certificate from the DMV. And then the state wanted to say, well, they were
we were aware of that because, in private medical practice, you're supposed to get people's birth dates and, in your records. And, being in private medical practice for 30-something years, we saw a lot of people who were born in Maysville, out in Renberg, out in rural areas who were birthed
no birth certificate.
They had no birth certificate,
and when they
because they did, or what would happen, and I'm prime example myself because my birth certificate was messed up because I was born in rural Georgia.
Okay,
is that you're delivered by a midwife, and sometimes she's delivering 4 and 5 people before she has to catch a ride down to the county seat. And record that, hey, I delivered a baby boy on such and such date, and his name was such and such date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so a lot of that got screwed up. A lot of those names got screwed up. So that's what really kind of concerned us when my wife brought this issue up. Man, she was one of the first people, I think, that identified the problem with getting these birth certificates.
Yeah.
I never knew that was a problem.
Big problem.
Never knew that.
Major problem. And because of the names being spelled wrong or incorrectly, like John, John, on some folks' birth certificate, it would be Jon. And a couple of people, the birth certificate would say baby girl Kennedy. Baby girl. That wasn't her name.
Her
name was Donna, Donna. So all through this lady's life, and she's a senior citizen now, it had Donna.
And make the point that they were able to go to school and they would say, well, what's your name? And she said, my name is Donna, not knowing, they didn't ask for the birth certificate.
Right.
And so later on, you found out that was not on the birth certificate.
Wow.
And we got numerous examples that we
baby
could give
girl.
you today about how that got
Right.
screwed up.
And so to say that, all of that to say this, we went through tens of thousands of our own dollars by the grace of God, helping to defend, helping to get lawyers to take people through the family court so that they can have amended birth certificates, have their birth certificate names corrected on the birth certificate, so when voting time came, they would have a certificate to say, okay, this is you go to the DMV to get proper ID. So we said all that to say that. So Black folk in particular, poor folk in general, because you got poor white folk.
It happened to poor white people too.
That happened to them. Not on the level that it happened to the Black folk.
Mm-hmm.
But, and so we have found that when we as Black people, everybody say, there they go talking Black again.
Yeah.
Black. Yes, Black. Because we are on center stage. On center stage, we have some strong people. And Illa Gezey, Mr. Illa Gezey, I'm gonna put the title Mr. We just appreciate when I showed my husband your picture last night.
Yeah.
I pulled up Illa Gezey Real Talk. My husband said, yeah, he's a young man.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And I want to tell the world out there, the social media world, that this young fella's mother was our patient.
Well,
A gracious person, Mrs. Georgia
Yep.
Smith,
Yeah.
who took care of our children at a daycare she worked at
Yes,
for
she did.
many years.
Yeah.
And we graciously
Yeah.
appreciate her being there. Now go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful woman.
Yeah,
Wonderful woman.
and I don't remember when she might have told me, because I'm pretty sure I might have been in the county jail and on the phone talking about this lady that coming in yelling and singing and stuff, waking us up out our bed. And you came often, so I'm pretty sure I got on the phone and told her, and she might have told me that you were one of her doctors. Now I do want to take y'all back just a little bit because of the kind of people y'all are. I want to know what or who were you guys' influences when you guys were younger? Because this generation now tends to be influenced by rappers or athletes and stuff like that. I want to know who or what influenced you guys to be so incredible like you are now.
That's a great question. And Dr. Joe, I'm going to jump out there real quick with this. Our mothers and fathers,
Yes.
Lord have mercy, were and still are so influential
Yes.
in who we are, what we are, what we stand for, how we stand for it. I on yesterday, and y'all, when y'all get a chance, y'all look at, please, the Family Unit Inc. We're on Facebook, the Family Unit Inc. Yesterday, I put up a post talking about it was early this morning. My mom and my daddy were married June 15th, 1947. Okay. My daddy was a jack of all trades. He was a carpenter and plumber and a whole lot of other things, and he worked 2 jobs always. My mama did housekeeping stuff for white folk. Families, 3 families she worked for. She did domestic work, cleaning up white folk houses, ironing, folding, mopping. Sometimes my sister and I would go with Mama, and we'd take a paper and we'd be drawing and coloring and reading while Mama's back in the back ironing and stuff. She went to school at night and learned how to be a licensed practical nurse. At the same time, and I'm going to do this real fast, my parents made sure that they were members of the NAACP for a long time. And we, my sister and I, from little kids, were members of the NAACP Youth Council that met in Savannah, Georgia, every Friday evening on West Broad Street, now Martin Luther King Boulevard. And we went to freedom marches and the rallies. The first time I ever saw a Klansman in real life with the white sheet and the hood, I was a little girl on Broad Street in Savannah. So I said all that to say this. They pushed rights, civil rights, looking after folk, cooking at fish dinners and stuff for the school to raise money for the PTAs and stuff. Greatest influence ever. And they taught me and my sister, was just two of us, look out for people. My daddy always said, always look out for folk. He would say like that. Don't think you better than nobody else. Now you just look out for folk. And I'll leave it there. Go ahead, Dr. Joe.
Well, what Dr. Brenda said is a reflection of my life, upbringing too, because now I grew up, she had the city, urban influence living in Savannah, Georgia. I'm typical of what Georgia people who lived in the rural areas, and also South Carolina, very similar.
Right.
I grew up in a rural area on a dirt road, but my parents are still my greatest influence in my life. I think they're my greatest heroes. My father and my mother, they both went to the 7th grade. They were not high school graduates, but they were always interested in public affairs. My daddy, I still have memories of my daddy and me looking at CBS Evening News when the civil rights movement was in its heyday. Because I live in a predominantly black county, and there were only a few white people who lived very close to us, but we didn't see that many white people.
Right.
And so we didn't know anything about, I grew up hunting, and so I know a lot about guns. People don't realize that rural black people use guns like anybody else. But my father and my mother were one of the first people, they voted in 1960 before the Voting Rights Act 1965 was passed. But there were only a few people in that county, black people voting. You had to own land. And my parents owned about 3 acres of land, but they were also attuned to what was going on. So they were able to vote in the 1960 presidential election when Richard Nixon ran against John Kennedy. And of course, they voted for Kennedy. My mother at that time was working doing housework. She was making somewhere between $12 and $15 a week.
Wow.
And my father was working in a lumber yard. He had to go out of town to do that. Later, he got a job at the Royal Crown Cola Canning Company. You're too young to remember, but Royal Crown Cola was at one time, there were 3 different colas. There was Coca-Cola, Pepsi Cola, and RC Cola, which was a distant third. And RC Cola is headquarters of Columbus, Georgia.
Okay.
And my father worked there. My mother went from working as a domestic, making $12, $15 an hour. Then she went to work in a cotton mill in Columbus, Georgia, because we lived on the outskirts of Columbus, just like, probably like Rembert and Sumter, so the my folks worked in Columbus. So, but they are my greatest influences. And I tell people all the time, now it was 4 of us. Me was oldest. I had 3 sisters. All of us are college graduates.
Wow.
Got one sister who's a lawyer. Another sister worked for the IRS for many years. Another sister retired as a social worker, but we're all college graduates. And, but they set the foundation for us.
So
and
y'all
by the way, they're not, I want
Yes.
people to understand, they were not like perfect people.
Right.
My daddy drank too much, and that's why I'm afraid of alcohol, because I'm just like him. Okay.
Gotcha.
But I loved him. I looked at them. It took me, you go through that adolescent period where you think your parents are not, they're dumb, they're stupid. But then you realize that, man, how do they do this? And I always tell people all the time, my mother was a financial genius.
Right.
They would get paid on Friday, and we had no money left on Monday because paying our bills.
Right.
But they were able to take care of all of us. And I have never felt hunger, but I had to eat rutabagas and neck bones and collard greens and black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
And then we eat some warmed over and collard greens or something later on during the week.
Right.
So, that's why we feel comfortable with our people, because we are of our people and we love our people because we know where we've come from.
Yes, yes.
And since both of y'all parents basically were your biggest influences, what values were taught to y'all growing up that y'all believe are missing today?
Respect, the lack of respect of men to women and women to men.
Yes.
And both to society. Let me just break it down real quick. Check this out. This past weekend, we were at Public. It was a football camp kind of thing that we went with our grandson. And my husband and I, along with the other parent climbed up a hill to get under a tree where there was shade. But anyway, there were some men, black men,
Middle-aged men.
middle-aged men in background. My husband and I were sitting on the ground, and these men were talking about stuff, and they were using profanity extensively. And they saw us sitting there along with other people. And I said to myself, I said, you know what? It used to be when a woman came into the presence of men talking, that woman, could be one woman, would change the conversation and atmosphere. Those men might be talking shop talk or street talk or whatever, shooting the bull. But if a woman walks in there, they say, okay, man, watch it now. There's a lady just walked in. Showing some level of respect. Well, all that's gone. I've seen videos of women, pregnant women, fighting each other, fighting, pulling hair and stuff, and men in the background throwing them in there, trying to stoke the fight. I said, go on, pushing the woman into the fight. Into the fight now, instead of trying to separate
them.
those women.
Yes.
Now, mind you, separating folk who are fighting might be dangerous for you because you might end up being killed in the midst. However, I saw the lack of respect. I told my husband, was it yesterday? It might have been this morning. I said, you know what? That is just so pitiful what has happened nowadays. Men just don't have that sense of respect for women anymore. Like those men who were cursing and cussing and stuff in the mist behind us this weekend.
While you speaking about that,
And it's not just, I have to say, my wife, I have to protect help.
okay,
It's not just men, of course, it's women too.
okay,
Because we raised 3 daughters.
so they lost their respect.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and so, and see, when I grew up, and again, I'm a generation ahead of you, there was a certain level of, women had certain level of respect. You didn't see women cursing men and all this kind of stuff and acting. And so we've lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
What do y'all
And I
think
always
went
say-
wrong?
Yeah, I always say that if women, women have to men have to look at, if the woman doesn't have the respect,
Mm-hmm.
the man ain't gonna have respect.
Right.
I mean,
That's true.
because let's be honest with you,
Right.
I mean, that's part of the problem with, I mean, if you're a man and you are with a loose woman, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's good
yes,
because the man,
yes.
if all he's thinking about is the physical aspect of this relationship,
Right.
hey, that's all that is.
Right.
He's not thinking about creating a longing relationship. My wife and I have been married for 51 years.
Yeah.
And so, it's got to go beyond
Absolutely.
the physical relationship,
Absolutely.
sexual relationship.
Absolutely.
If you're not there, and it's not going to be where you're going to be able to, because my wife and I have many points of disagreement. Many points.
And I'm usually right 90%. I'm usually right 99.8% of the time.
Yeah.
And I let him win sometimes. But
What
hey,
can I
check
say?
this
But
out,
that's
check
what
this
I'm
out.
saying.
Check this out. And what my husband is saying is so true. Check this out. I'm saying the men have lessened respect for women, but I declare the women, come on, women, have to straighten ourselves up. Like the old folks say, straighten up and fly right.
So what do y'all think about what went wrong between then and now?
Okay, now check this out before I answer that. Women nowadays, I have to say this, we could be on this talk show for the next 50 years. 50 years. Check this out. Women, come on, women. Sometimes wear dresses and hot pants and stuff where you could see their flesh, see their butts. They have videos, get millions of views. The most nasty kind of whatever, you get many hits. Okay, and what was the question?
What went wrong?
Okay,
Because I know y'all seen a lot of changes through the years, but
yes,
for it to make a whole 360,
Yeah.
I wonder what might have caused that.
yes, sir.
Let me deal
Go
with that too.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, what has happened over the last couple of generations, women are now more equal. I mean, beforehand, America's society has been a patriarchal society where the father has always been in control. And sometimes it's been like men have been dictators over it, but that has definitely stopped. Thank God for that. But I think things have gotten to a point where the relationships between men and women have gotten so screwed up that we should know, we're physicians, we're biologists.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between male and female.
Correct.
All right? God made males physically stronger. We got bigger muscles, we grow bigger, we're stronger. And that's because we are programmed to be protectors.
Mm-hmm.
Men have to take the bullet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When there's danger, a man has to be in front.
Right.
All right? Not the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Man has to be in front. Some people don't like me saying that, but that's nature.
Right.
All right? Women are more nurturing. I mean, I say to my wife will see my grandson and she'll want to, say, well, hey, can you do that? And then I say, hey, this young man's almost grown. I remember my father said, get your butt up and go and do what you need to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the woman's role has to be more nurturing. I mean, that's just the nature of it, because women without, I guess we put the most important people are the women, because
Right.
they bring the children into the world and raise them.
Mm-hmm.
But then men are a central part of that.
Yes.
And we've lost track of that.
Yes, we
But
have.
now, and so, hear this thing about, stories about strong black single female. That's good, but she would be so much stronger if she had a man with her who is also supporting
Right.
supporting her.
Right. And I
You
agree.
know.
Check this out. And we could speak
We
from
could go all day long about
Yeah.
this. You know
great
that.
perspective. Check this out. Because we've been married 51
51 years.
years. We got met in 72, got married in 75, and just celebrated our 51st wedding anniversary.
Congratulations on that, too.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Okay, now check this out. Society as it is puts more advantages academically to the female more than the
Right.
male. There are more women college graduates than there are
Mhm.
men college graduates,
Uh-huh.
talking about black folk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, women are in a financially more secure position than black men. Okay, check this out. My college mentor, Dr. Margaret Robinson, black woman, black like me, had degrees in botany. She headed up the biology division of Savannah State College, predominantly black college, Savannah, Georgia, HBCU college. But anyway, Dr. Robinson's husband was a plumber. So that husband of hers had to really be a strong
Yes.
man.
Yes.
He was a plumber.
Mhm.
A regular, average, everyday John Q. citizen that went to work every day, crawl under folk houses and fix leaking pipes, where his wife was a highly educated woman heading up a division at a university. So she and he had to be really understanding
Right of each other.
and loving and knowing what it was that's necessary to make things happen as a couple.
And
Okay.
that's going to be necessary.
Yeah, okay,
for
check this
us.
out. That, like my husband said, that's going to be necessary for women and men. The women, okay, go to and get your degrees, yes, and as much knowledge as possible, because once knowledge is in your head, nobody can take it away from you, no matter what. And then when you want to mate with someone, you have to have it in your mind that you're not always up here above people, even though you have a lot of degrees and stuff. And
Yes.
you got all kind of 5 and 6 college degrees under your name. And you might be the man who drives a rig, a truck, delivering stuff for Walmart. And so you have to be together in your head to know that you're not all that above people. And he has to know that, yeah, you're going to meet up with some lady, some woman that has a lot going for her academically, and she's making much more money than you could think of. But you're going to marry one another, combine your incomes.
Mhm.
Ooh, Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Because she needs help. She needs help.
Right.
And he needs help.
That's
Right.
So
They need each other.
You have to be so intelligent and mature. That's the word
Yes.
I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's it.
You have to be mature to the point wherein
Yeah.
you know that there's nobody better than nobody else, and the man that you're going to marry, or some folk are married their same sex. I have no problems with that. That's what they are doing, and that's what they want to do, and I have no problems with that.
Mhm.
However, you're going to have to, back up and know that you're not all of that. And that's a part of why we've been married so long.
I was just about to ask,
Right.
because I love to ask people who've been married like 30, 40, 50 years plus, how? But I think y'all kind of just answered that, but how does it last that long? I never had a relationship past 5 years, but how do you make a marriage last that many decades?
Well, you have to be strong enough in yourself. Say, well, listen, I love my wife.
Uh-huh.
We have some disagreements, but not to the point that I'm going to separate from her because we have an argument.
Right.
I'm going to, I'm looking at my family,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what, and if a man wants that family, because that's given me more stability. Marriage is a great thing. And I advise all young men
Mm-hmm.
to think about it and to do it because it makes you grow. It makes you grow. It makes you learn to accept yourself, you learn to respect yourself, and you learn to respect women.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize quickly that, hey, I like to look at the Knicks basketball game. She wants to go look at a shopping channel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She has no interest in the game,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and I don't have any interest in shopping. So we said, well, okay, you're going to do that. I said, well, now what the argument comes when I'm looking at the game and then she asks me something. I said, what? And she gets mad.
And I
But see,
know
but that's the
he
nature.
is hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing because I'm interested
Because
in.
he's
He
I'm
interested in the game at the
I'm
time.
asking Jalen Bunsen taking a jump shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's gonna-
Right.
Is he going to drive by Wimbignana?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because that's the important thing. But see, again, that's when you realize it.
Yeah.
Men and women
Mm-hmm.
are different,
Uh-huh.
but we need each other.
Yes.
Right.
And my father and my mother had arguments.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Every married couple has
Yes.
arguments, but they stayed with each other.
Yes.
Despite it. And they raised their children.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes.
And me and my three sisters are better off instead of my father leaving when he got married with my mother and never coming
Yeah.
back.
Mhm.
Okay.
You see?
And
Yep.
check this out, Illa Gezey.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be selfless instead of selfish.
Yes.
Let me say that one more time for good measure. We have to be selfless
Strive for it.
instead of selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Always striving for that.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Because if you think that the world all circulates and evolves and
Yes.
revolves around you, you're in trouble. And your family's in trouble. Because there comes a time when you have to put yourself in the background and push others forward.
That's right.
This is why we look at our family first. Yes. I drop everything for my family. And we look for community because we know there's so many people in the community, so many families falling apart and here, there, and everywhere. And if they had some unity in there, this unity in the family. Oh man, how powerful we could be. And we are
And that's
powerful.
and
We
that's
are
why
powerful.
we work hard to try to keep families together. People who are not as
Yes.
materially situated as we are. We spent, you don't even talk about it, but we tried to help people stay together. We've advocated for couples to get together and marry and create families. This is what we've done all the many years that we've been here in our hometown here. I call it my adopted hometown, but this is my hometown of Sumter. This is what we've done. This is what we are going to do until we die, because we believe that men and women together and raising families, that's the strongest thing that we can have. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you can't do it. But if you can do it, it means that somebody got to put your ego aside, put your ego in your back pocket, and say, okay, this is my wife, this is my husband. We need each other. I'm going to create this unity. I'm going to do this. And when you do that, then you realize that, hey, you know, there's some other people out here who I could help.
Yeah. Now that's powerful.
That's what we.
That's
And
powerful.
that's what we've been doing.
That's
you know?
powerful because a lot of I don't want to dig too deep on the girls, but we'll move after this. But a lot of them right now are saying they don't want to go 50-50 with a man, which means they want a man to pay all the bills and while they do whatever they do. I wonder what kind of message y'all can deliver to them directly to help them kind of shift that narrative.
Yeah. Well, you know one thing. There is a saying, it didn't just start now, it's long. I can do bad all by myself. Let me say that one more time for good measure. Out there in the work, women, yeah, there are millions of boys and girls that have been raised by women by themselves. And the women have done a wonderful, magnificent, splendid, grand, and great job. I don't take nothing away from single mothers. However, in the long run, for yourself, if you don't think about yourself, think about your children even. The message that you want to give to your children to respect that opposite sex, respect the man, respect men, respect the women. Okay, now, you know, when I speak to many churches, programs, Women's Day, Mother's Day, etc. And I always, like for the Women's Day, I always throw in there, I say, you know what, y'all, I know I'm speaking for a Women's Day program, but I can't help but talk about the men. I said, us women, us women, have to be aware of the fact that we need our men. Okay? Now, check this out, y'all, and I'm going to let my husband talk. When my husband and I decided that we were going to get married, check this out. We dated for 3 years. From 72 to 75, we got married. I had $100 and some odd dollars in fact. It might have been $146. I was rich. Come on now. My husband had about
$70.
No,
or
he
something.
didn't have that.
I didn't have that much.
He had about $62 and some change, y'all. And so I said to myself, when my husband mentioned we were engaged for a year before we got married.
Okay.
Well, my husband said, babe, he always called me babe. He said, babe, we're going to need to combine our checking accounts. And so I said to myself, he just married me for my money. Because I got $100 and some dollars in the bank and he just got half of that amount. And then I said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to combine our money. We're going to combine our checking accounts. Yes. From that day on, we still have a joint checking account. Because you got to have some faith and trust. If you can't trust a man or your spouse or whatever, if you can't trust that person, don't even enter into that relationship. Woo! If you can't trust the person that you are going to reunite with for the rest of your life, don't do it.
Yeah.
If you have to hire a private detective, PI, whatever they call it, private investigator, to follow your spouse around and check and see what he's doing, or check to see what she's
You don't
doing.
need to be married.
No. Don't even enter that relationship to a strong degree, because trust, if there's trust and faith in one another, you will survive. And the children will see that. The children have to see it. The children have to see it.
Yep.
Because
example.
it is the thing, and it's a problem. And you know, you being a young man, I don't think I could be what I am if I didn't have my father in my house. Okay? You say, well, my father was easygoing. My mama was kind of like my wife, very forward. My father gave you the shirt off his back. He had faults. He drank a little bit too much, but he and I did talk a lot. But without him in my life, I know he was not perfect, but he was a man that was in my life, and that made me a man. It made me realize that, hey, there are certain rules. There are certain rules, and my mother couldn't have taught me those rules. Okay, Dad always said, if you mess up, you got to fix up. You know.
Yep.
And there's only one time in my life I remember him hitting me when I was about 5. I'm now 75 years old.
Wow.
And I was 5 years old, and he told me to do something, and I didn't do it. He took his hand and hit me in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever have to do it again? No.
It only took that one
Just
time.
one little pat on the butt.
Yep.
Right.
And so, again, that's what having the presence of a man.
Right.
My mom would take a switch and she'd be beating me, and I'd be a big old boy. I mean, I didn't cry. I mean, Jesus Christ, leave me, because I was a man growing up, a young man child, but I needed that man. So, and I know young men who turn out very well without having a father, but you really do much better. But men, children do much better, and female children do much better when there's a father in the house.
And you know
So
what?
we have to talk about that. And I know it's difficult in this day and time with all the pressures that are upon men particularly, because it's very difficult to be a black man in America, and you know that personally. You go to work, we're the most frightening people for white society. Men,
Yep.
not our women. Black men are. Because, our nature is that most men are not going to be very angry or loud, because they're scary. As you know, police officer murder you
Right.
just by you. So you have to learn to control your anger. Women can get by with stuff. I hate to say it, that men can't. Okay? And you know that. I mean, again, people say that I'm not being sexist, but I'm just telling you the truth that as I see it in my life as a man. So men have to have certain models, and not having that father, I think that's what a lot of these young men end up getting messed up. And that's just my perspective. Again, I might be wrong, but I doubt it, because I've dealt with young men. I said, Jesus, when does he ever had a father? I said, man, go sit your butt down. I'm not going to curse on this program. Go sit your little butt down. Yeah, you got to do what you're told to do.
Yeah.
There are certain rules in society. Society is not made for you. Everybody's got to follow certain rules. If you don't follow those rules, you will pay the price for that.
Right.
You can't, this is a racist society, young black man. You can't show your anger in front of a crazed white police officer with a 9mm pistol who's scared of you. You can be 5'2", he can be 6'2", 240. You might be 5'2" and weigh 140, and he's gonna be afraid of you.
Yep.
Because of just your voice, your looks. And I know that's not right, but you don't want to lose your life to some crazed white man because you frighten him.
Right.
I mean, I have. My wife knows I'll go in the store sometimes, and you look at the clerk behind the desk, and they're white, and you can see the fear in them.
Wow.
Because they think you're coming in to rob them. And I said, damn, I wish I could take my money and hold up in there and say, I am here to buy a drink.
Right.
I will pay for this and walk out of your store. Please don't go get that gun behind that counter, because I do not want to harm you.
Right.
I'm sorry that God made me a black man.
Yeah.
But that's what I am.
Right.
And don't be afraid of me. I'm not going to do anything to you because you've not done anything to me. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly
and
what you're talking
one thing, I want the social media world to understand and comprehend and digest what we're saying about the importance of men and women working together in union instead of tearing
each other
apart.
Yes.
Okay, check this out. What my husband said, you got to have a father in the house, and he's not tearing down the mother. or
You
whatever.
don't have to have, but you need it.
And the father is a great added plus and something that is so crucial to families that's missing, unfortunately, in a lot of situations. There are some father figures in a child's
Yes.
life. Oh my God. The father figure. It might be the neighbor down the street, somebody's uncle, somebody's granddaddy. It might be a teacher at school. A father figure is needed.
Yes.
A father figure is needed. You take nature when the lions, the female lions and the male lions and the female lions, of course, have the babies and they do the hunting. They'll track down a zebra or whatever, and boy, they out there hunting that gazelle or whatever. That's the females doing that. And when they kill the animal to eat, oftentimes the men will come in, the male lion will come in, when the females out there struggling, trying to bring that zebra down.
Yeah.
And the male say, okay, y'all women, y'all step aside now. Y'all let the men in here. And there might be 1 or 2 or 3 male lions come in, boom, boom, they'll take that elephant down. One time I didn't know that a lion is something, the animal could take down an elephant.
Yeah.
An elephant, but there are lions that are designed to take an elephant down. So I said all that to say that. So the females and the males work together in nature. They're not even human beings. These are animals and lions and stuff. So there is some eternal, something heavenly coming that said that men and women, female and men, if you work together in unison, that is very, very, very important. And I'll mention this. Check this out. When you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned it yet, but you met me through me being out there at the jail.
Yes.
Folk call it the county, Sumter Lee Regional Detention Center. Now it is the Sumter County Sheriff Detention Center. Check this out. When I went out there initially, the first time to the jail, it wasn't to do voter registration. It was kind of strange. White man called me from the Gideon Society. I was practicing medicine one day. One of the secretaries said, Dr. Williams, somebody on the phone from the Gideon Society want to talk to you. I say, hey. So the man said, hey, Dr. Williams, I understand that you speak at churches and stuff. You mind coming with the Gideons out there to the jail? You ever been out there to jail? I said, no. I said, I would love to go out there. When I went out there, I was sectioned to talk only to the women. He said, okay, you can talk to the women and we go talk to the men. I was the only female in the group, the only black person in the group. I said, wow, this is a bunch of white men, and here I am, a black woman. I said, okay, God, what you trying to tell me? You got some kind of assignment you want me to do?
Right.
Got me surrounded by white men? Okay, well, fast forward all of that. I was talking to the women. Then I talked to the women locked up in jail, some of them pregnant, some of them not, some mothers and daughters in there. Okay, now check this out. So I said, oh, Lord. How many of y'all have children outside this jail? 95% of them raised their hand. I said, okay, put your hand down, please. Where are your children now? I'm saying to myself, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. They got these women locked up in jail. Most of them are not married. They got children out there in the world somewhere. I said, Lord, have mercy for those children. I said, how many of y'all? So fast forward all of that, found out that there were some children in foster care, because the government found out that the children were, some of them were sleeping on a sofa, didn't have a bed. That doesn't mean that it was neglect. The government just said, oh, no, the folk don't have a whole lot of money. They can't even afford a bed. We're going to take their children. Which we thought, oh, Lord, we had to go to the war with DSS trying to get folks' children back. So anyway, I said to myself, you know what? Instead of just teaching the scripture and the Bible to these individuals, I'm going to see what we can do by the grace of God to help them once they get out of jail, to have somewhere to live, to have the children be able to go to school and study and learn the math, the science, and all of that kind of stuff. And it evolved. And so I told the Gideons, I used to hold hands and pray before we went into the pods, into the jail. So one of the men told me, he said, you know what? We were holding hands and praying. No, I was singing. He said, we don't need all of that. We don't need all of that up in here. We just here to teach the word. He said, Dr. Williams, I think that you just trying to do social work out here at this jail. He said, we don't need nobody to try to help somebody once they get out of jail.
What?
We just want to teach them the scripture while they're in jail. I said, oh, no, I'm in the wrong place there. I said, a lot of y'all wear those WWJD bracelets. What would Jesus do? I said, probably you got one on right now, sir. WWJD. What would Jesus do? I said, I don't think that the God I serve would be just satisfied in
Yes.
teaching folk the scripture
Yes.
without going steps further to help that person get a job once they get out of jail, to help them have a roof over their head when they get out of jail, to help them have a toilet that flushes in their home, to help those children go to school and learn and get knowledge and wisdom and all that kind of stuff in their minds. I don't think that Jesus, who's God's son, would be satisfied. And so I stopped doing that. I said, you know what, I got to get back at that VA. And that's when I started doing voter registration, and the rest was history.
So now you only do voter registration?
Oh,
Because I think I remember you used to come in there just talking to us.
yeah, okay, check this out. I'm glad you mentioned that, sir. It wasn't just voter registration. You are so right.
Yeah.
Voter education,
Uh-huh.
voter registration was part of it.
Uh-huh.
And encouragement to voter participation. It's more complicated because when I first went out there, and my husband went when he was not at the hospital taking care of patients, I learned that about 98.5% of the individuals who were locked up had never voted in their lives.
Including me.
Oh, check that out. Now, I had never voted. And I said, oh my God. I had to do a lot of reading and research. I said, oh, okay, looking at the South Carolina State Constitution, it says that if a person is pre-trial, if that person had not gone to court, if that person was not on probation or not on parole, that person had the right to vote in South Carolina. And that was pretty advanced for South Carolina.
Right.
To say that inmates could vote. They had never, ever voted in the state of South Carolina until then. It was 2008.
Okay.
Never in the whole state of South Carolina had any inmate voted. When I added up in from 2008 up until now, 18 years, there have been 7,886 inmates pre-trial that have registered inside that one jail, registered to vote, and not only registered, but to do absentee voting, voting within the jail. It had never happened in this state ever until we went in there. Over 7,000 inmates, and I hadn't added the most recent ones, 'cause I'm still going out there to the jail. As I tell the young men and young women, and some of them are old and got gray hair like me and my husband, and not everybody in that jail is young, and let them know, it's okay, y'all don't realize the power you have. I tell them all the time. I said, oh, that vote, that one vote has so much power. That's why folk are scared of it. That's why the Republicans and whomever trying to find ways to cut that vote out because it's so powerful. Then they look at inmates. They say, oh, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. We got folk locked up in jumpsuits, locked up, voting. Having the power, that one vote, your vote is more powerful, has the same power as the president's vote. Your one vote. Your one vote has the same power as the governor's vote. Your one vote. Your one vote has the same power as Oprah Winfrey's vote and all the billionaires and now trillionaire people. Your vote is that powerful. You can cancel out somebody's vote. If that person votes one way and you vote another, you cancel that vote. That's why it's so powerful.
That's a beautiful thought, to cancel out Elon Musk's vote with one vote.
Okay.
he only get one vote.
Right.
It's one vote. Okay.
Right.
Of course, he can probably buy a whole lot of votes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now, so just check this out. So, and it's so thrilling. It's so thrilling to me to be able to do that. When I go out there to the jail, And like I said, I've been going out there since 2008, and this is 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And just the aura. I actually pray before I go anywhere. Okay, 23rd Psalm, I say it to myself. And then as I'm pulling my black suitcase where I keep the paperwork, so it's tremendous paperwork you have to do to register people that are inside the jail. Tremendous, this is little detailed stuff that has to be done. And I take it down to the voter registration office and make sure that it's recorded, make sure that these votes are counted. Don't want to try to fool anybody. And my husband and I, you know, we go out there and I tell the inmates, I say, Lord, listen up, y'all. We're not being paid by anybody. We're being paid by God. Well, for whatever you do that's good and right and decent and kind, you're going to get blessings from God. Some people would rather die first than to go out there to the jail dealing with people.
Yeah.
Some folk ask me, said, Dr. Williams, you know one thing? I want to help you do what you're doing in the community. I sure am glad you do stuff in the community. What can I do? I said, well, I tell you what, Sugar Pooker, I'm going out to the jail at 12:30. I'm going to be out there from 12:30 to 2:30.
They back up.
They said, well, I don't know about all of that, Dr. Williams. They said, I don't know about all of that, Dr. Williams. I ain't going out there to that jail. And so, again, I thank God. Actually, some folks might say, well, you got to be out your mind. You ain't getting paid by nobody. If anything, you're spending money, shoveling money. Me and my husband. Shoveling money, trying to help folks. We've given away 7 homes in the past 14 years.
Wow.
We've gotten abandoned homes that were left for no good. Broken windows and walls and floors falling in, and paid people to renovate those homes, and we just gave them away to families.
How do you choose who to give it to?
Oh, check this out. You got some great questions. 5 of the homes that we gave away were given to folk that used to be in jail. Okay, now check this out. 2 of the homes, folk had never been in jail, but they had some connections to people who were in jail. Listen, I went out to that jail. 1250 Winkles Road, Sumter, South Carolina, 29153 zip code. And had this program, when it first started, had this program called Do Right, D-O-R-I-G-H-T, Do Right program. I got that from Aretha Franklin's song. I was cooking some salmon one day, listening to some music way back, that was years ago. And Aretha said, if you wanna do right all day, woman. And I said to myself, that's a good thing, do right. I said, I'm going out there to that jail, and they need to do right, just like everybody else.
Right.
I said, you know what? And I could talk forever, but we had just started on fixing up a home. Just out of the clear blue, God just led me to G Street in Sumter, South Sumter. House was raggedy, busted up windows, the floors caving in, and trash in the yard. I said to myself, I said, you know what? If I had the money, Lord, if I had the money, we could fix up that house over there and just give it away to somebody out there struggling, trying to raise a family. And fast forward all of that, the owner of the house one day put up a sign, said, for sale. I said, oh, Lord, somebody trying to sell that house. Called the owner, which was a white man. Come on now. Jesse McLeod, I'll even say his name. When he was living, he didn't want nobody to know that he was giving homes away to my group.
Wow. Why not?
Well,
That's a deeper question, huh?
Yeah, that's a deep question.
That's a deeper question.
I ain't going to even entertain the answer.
Okay.
He just wanted, he said, Dr.
But that's
Williams,
good, though. He wanted to do that.
Come on now.
That's good.
Because he had lots of money. And they tell me he owned hundreds of homes, and they rent out still.
It wasn't all necessarily good because he he got rid of some bad property,
Yeah,
and he got a
okay.
tax deduction
Yeah,
for
come on
donating.
now. I'm about to say, you get a
Gotcha.
tax deduction from that stuff because my group 501c3, the Family Unit Incorporated, is a 501c3 tax exempt organization.
Okay.
So when you give donations of property or of money,
it's a
you
tax
get
write-off.
deduction.
Yeah.
Come on now. And that wasn't the only reason, too.
Yeah, it's not only because
he
there
had-
are a lot of other people on
There are a
bad
lot of-
property who won't give it away.
Come on.
Who they don't do
Okay.
anything with it. but
Just
let it stay
hold
there.
on to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, come on. All those homes we gave away were given to us. We didn't have to buy the property from Mr. Jesse McLeod. He would call up. Sometimes my secretaries would say, well, the first time he called, well, I called him. I said, hey, my name is Brenda Williams. I'm on G Street, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you have a house and it's in bad shape and you're going to sell that house? And so he said, yes, sir. He said, you interested in buying? I said, well, I don't have no money. My little group does not have money. I said, but he said, well, I said, how much you want for it? He said, about 18,000. I said, oh, no, sir. I said, no, we don't have no money like that. He said, well, tell me, well, how you plan to get the house then? I said, well, I was hoping you'd just give it. I said, I hope you just go give it to me. And so I guess he said, this is a crazy man, woman here up on this phone talking about giving her house.
Right.
And so anyway, he said, no, I can't do that. I said, okay, then, well, you have a good day. And we hung up the phone. About 5 or 6 minutes later, one of my secretaries said, Dr. Williams, there's a man on the phone, say, his name is McLeod. So I ran back to the phone. I told the patient, I said, hold on a minute, I'm going to be right back. I say, hello, Mr. McLeod. He said, hey, Dr. Williams. He said, what you plan to do with that house you talking about? I said, well, I plan to, my husband and I going to fix it up and just give it away to a family out there struggling. Got kids and they out there struggling trying to pay bills, and God-fearing family. And he said, so that's what you're going to do with it, huh? I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, well, I'll give you the house. He said, not only that, I'm going to give you the house across the street from it also.
Yeah.
I started shaking. I said, Lord have mercy, Jesus. This man go 4-bedroom house built in the 1930s, hardwood floors and stuff. Gave it to us, but it was in bad shape because it had been vandalized and all had to be rewired and new
Yeah, the
flooring
copper
here.
tuving had been taken from it.
Yeah,
Everything.
new plumbing. We spent a pretty good little penny on getting that house
And
fixed up.
explain the way we were able to do that.
Yes.
We had some good people
Yes, thank
to
you.
do work
Yes, sir.
at reduced costs,
Right.
Yes.
and some people. We had some very well off friends of ours
Yes.
who made donations,
Yes.
which made it easier for us because we couldn't
Yes.
finance these things ourselves.
Yes. And I'll even throw out the name there. One of our biggest contributors, Mr. Ted Wilson
Yes.
of Universal Benefits
That's right.
Insurance Company,
Okay.
right here in town, black millionaire, self-made millionaire, and he was so gracious
Yes.
to our organization. I didn't even have, and I called him and told him what we were about to do. He said, Dr. Brenda, you just let me know what you need. And I put a little ad in the paper wanting folk to volunteer, the carpenters to volunteer, plumbers to volunteer, electricians to volunteer. Nobody showed up.
What?
Nobody showed up but Mr. Ted Wilson. And he looked at the porch of that house. He said, I said, yes, sir. There was some weak in the area. He said, Doc, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He said, I can get some guys to come in here and do this porch. I said, well, we have a man that can do some work. So he said, okay, Doc, I tell you what. You tell that man to go ahead and get the supplies or whatever, and I'll just write a check to the Family Unit Incorporated. He said, I figure y'all might need X dollars. My eyes about to jump out my head by the time. My eyes about to jump up. I saw, Lord have mercy. I started to be foolish and tell him a certain number. Like, I might have been foolish to say, well, all I need is 8,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
My daughter, my baby girl, our baby girl, I call her my creative consultant.
Mm-hmm.
She's 37 years old now, but I still go. But back then, she said, Mom, don't tell him how much money to give you.
Right.
Let him decide that. So you might be shooting way lower.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest was history. The rest was history. Mr. James Ted Wilson,
Okay.
yes, sir, Senior, was a major contributor to us. Most of the money came from my husband and myself, by the grace of God. Came out of our pockets for the renovation of these homes, yes. But then we had one of my husband's cousins, Mr. Willie Mac Thompson, out of California, who contributed a great deal financially. Then we had some other people to contribute. I'm talking about big money to the family unit. We've had Doc Dunlap. Doc is a real estate man right here in town.
Okay.
He's a white guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Very rich.
very.
And some of these people still contribute to you guys' foundation?
Well, Doc does. Willie Mac Thompson, my husband's cousin, died
Okay.
or not long ago. Up until his death, he was shelling out some pretty good cash to the family unit. If
Ted is now contributing a lot to Morris College's
Yeah.
alma mater.
millions to Morris,
Wow.
almost every
Millions,
year.
Lots of
Okay,
millions.
Wow.
and again, even if I picked up the phone, I purposefully don't call him now, because he helped out in our formative years. But even if I pick up the phone right now, I grab my cell phone and say, "Hey, Ted, how you doing?" He said, "Hey, Doc, how are you? How the family? How the kids? Blah, 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 blah."
But also, let's talk
And
to.
before, let me finish just on
Mhm.
Ted. And before I can get off the phone, he said, "I figure the family unit might need a little transfusion of money about right now."
Mm.
Before I even say anything.
Mm. That's how God works.
Yes.
Yes.
God works.
And so I said, "Oh, thank you." He said, "I could bring the check around to you, Doc, or you want?" I said, No. Don't you bother yourself bringing no check. I'm going to jump in my car and come around there and get it."
Right.
Okay. So he has a great, big, gracious heart.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
tell me folk have to help him not to say yes a lot of times. Folk be calling him, and he'll put the phone to be ringing, and it'll go to voicemail, and I'll say, "Oh, now he'll answer that one," and within a few seconds, he might be in Australia, where he say, "Hey, Doc, I got your call." Blah 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 blah. He's just that kind of person,
Very
and
good,
his
very good
family.
man. Great
His
man.
family very gracious. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to talk about the fact that not only that, we've had, we took the time to create free medical clinics. Wow. In fact, we did one while we were in private practice. We would have every Wednesday, because our Wednesday afternoons were free.
Yeah.
From I think the years between 1988 and 1993, we had a free medical clinic. We would see people for free. It was a limited number of people.
Yeah.
And we're totally free. And many of those patients later became our patients later on. But we did that then. And then I think a couple of years after we left private practice, we set up a free medical clinic. It only lasted about a year or so.
Yeah.
And then we just closed. We had a free medical clinic that started in 2000, right at the beginning,
Excuse me.
right before the pandemic started.
Uh-huh.
Then I got sick with, right when the pandemic started, I got sick with COVID. I was the first doctor, employee, et cetera, at Toomey Hospital to get COVID back in March of 2020.
Yeah.
And so we had to close the clinic down for a while. But we kept that going until November of 24, I think, right?
Yeah.
So we've been blessed. And of course, the way we were able to do that is with, donations from ourselves, but we also had our friends that
Yes.
she mentioned, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Dunlap, my cousin who would write checks, and other people, Ernest, who owns, Mr. Fry, owns the the Allstate Insurance Company.
Yes, yes, yes. And we've
Who
had
gave donations.
those are
Yeah.
big
Cool.
donations, and then we've had smaller donations. Some
Right.
folks
Right.
give $25 here,
Mm-hmm.
$2.50 there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the services that we provide, we don't charge anything, and it's expansive. I've had
Mhm.
government agencies to call on me. DSS has called on us. Pick up the phone, social worker, say, Dr. Williams, we have an indigent family. We've done everything we could to help them, Dr. Williams, and we just don't know what to do from here. And it's 5 kids and a mom and so forth. You think you can help them, Dr. Williams? Oh, we've got many calls like that from DSS, from the Sumter County School District. The attendance people have called. Say, hey, Dr. Williams, I tell you what, we got some problems with some kids that don't come to school every day, and they have a high degree of tardiness and absenteeism, Dr. Williams. Do you think that you can help us out with that? And the families that we have allowed, we've given away homes, yes, but we have also families, even right now, that are in a house. We don't charge them rent.
Mm-hmm.
Don't charge them a dime of rent. But they have to pay the light bill and the water bill, and they have to work. And check this out. Send the kids to school. They must send the kids to school. I must see those kids' grades. I must see the kids' grades and find out, are the children passing everything? What are they not passing?
Mm-hmm.
And most recently, the family that we are taking care of, we want to get them to the point where they don't have to rely on us for just basic bare necessities. The
Right.
bare necessities of life. You should be able to be at one point or the other able to do that for yourself.
Right.
You know, and so we have to educate them. You don't just put folk in the house and say, okay, bye y'all, see y'all later. It's far from that. In one particular home, before we gave them the house, we had to almost hire a maid to go to their house to teach them not to put trash and stuff on the floor, clean up the refrigerator, mop the floors. You remember that? When we had to my husband mentioned that. He said, Lord, babe, he told me, babe. He said, we having to hire a maid for another family, not just us.
Right.
For somebody we're not even related to. And it was and still is a tedious, constant thing that you have to do to help people. Because they've never been taught certain things. Never.
Right.
They never. And it's not because they're bad people. They're not bad people. They just don't know.
And and what we want, and what I want at least, and I know my wife does too, is that I would like for our society to be focused that way, trying to help lift up everybody. I'm not just talking about African Americans, but everybody. There should not be any poverty in America.
You're right.
Everybody should have health care. They should not be worried about, I don't have enough money to go see a doctor. Or if I go to the hospital, stay in there 3 days and have a bill of $50,000 out in the ICU. That doesn't make any sense. And if we can have a trillionaire in our society, I know we can have universal health care. We can have people who can go to the doctor, no matter how poor they are, and get taken care of.
Right.
We can have kids who know the importance of education. The public school system is the most important thing. I mean, people talk about expensive. Yeah, but it's so expensive not to have educated people. The people who are the future.
Mm-hmm.
We got to spend money on them. I don't care how costly it is.
Right.
You want to do it more effectively, but you got to spend money on people.
Right.
Got to take care of them because they got to fix our houses. They got to fix our roads. They got to do electricity. They got to think of ways to take care of us. We get old and infirmed.
Right.
So what sense does it make not to invest in them? and make sure that, listen, no, we want you to go to school. No, you can't drop out of school. We're not gonna. You got to learn how to read. You got to learn how to write.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to do arithmetic.
Yeah.
And you have to know that it's important that you work. Work is good for you. Go to work every day. You know, I know you want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock and go to work, and take care of yourself.
Right.
That's what we want our society to do. And then make sure that money you earn is enough for you to take care of your bills.
Right. That's budgeting.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't, you're not going to be able to have a Cadillac Escalade.
Right.
But you'll be able to get your Honda.
Get what you can afford.
Drive to get you from place to place. And if you can save up enough money, you get your Cadillac Escalade.
Yes.
So that's what we want. We want people. So that's what I feel that my wife and I want to do. We want to build up society.
Okay.
I mean, what we got, and we talk about what's going on in our country now. Greed is leading us, and it's been that way for the last generation or so, where people have made the acquisition of money has become such a great thing. It's crazy. We should be educating our children. I mean, that's expensive. We can't afford universal health care. We can't afford to make sure all these children, public schools cost too much money. So I'm going to create a private school. I'm going to create this kind of school. I said, well, spend the money, get teachers, pay the teachers well so that we have the best people going into teaching.
Yes.
Right.
So they'll know they have an incentive. They deserve it. They spend 4 years of college and they have to get past the certification boards. Pay them well.
Exactly.
Pay them well. They should be paid more than somebody who didn't do all that.
Right.
I mean, that's just about naturally. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's how we think.
Just to spin the block on that a little bit, because my biggest initiative, I've been 15 years in prison, just like everybody knows. I've met people who don't know how to read in prison. I've met people who told me hey, will you write this for me? They don't know how to write and stuff like that. And a lot of those guys come out with no help, no support system. And one of the biggest issues I have is people coming home from doing 10, 15, 20 or more years and coming into a new society with technology, things they weren't aware of and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to find a more foundational groups and stuff like that to where they can have help when they come home. I'm blessed.
Yes.
I came home to my mama's house.
Yes.
I continued paying the mortgage while I was back there. I just sacrificing, just continue paying whatever she owed because she had a house through Habitat for Humanity. And I just continued doing what I had to do. And I was blessed to come home to something.
Yes.
But a lot of them guys come home to no parents.
Yes.
They all deceased.
Yes. Sir.
No home. It's hard to get health care when they come home. And it's hard. And even though a lot of people comment on my posts and say, well, they got trades in prison. Yeah, they do have trades. But you come out here and it's hard to get the job.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to figure out ways we can push an initiative to help those kind of individuals.
Because it's so hard sometimes to get a job, particularly if you got a prison record. Some people don't want to hire you because they see that you had a prison record. So you need to be able to figure out, how can I set up a business? Now, the problem, of course, with setting up a business is, you got to have capital.
Right.
In other words, there should be some program that can loan money if you have the skills for you to set up your carpentry business or your landscaping business.
Right.
Or if you have skills for bricklaying, whatever, plumbing or things like that people need. Because, by the way, AI is not going to be able to do any of those things that I mentioned.
Right.
All right? You got to have those. People need that. Now, they need to be taught how do you give them the capital so they can set the business up. Because that's what problem we have in setting up businesses in our community. We don't have that capital to start off with.
Right.
As you know, white people in our society have money they can fall back on, so they can throw the capital out there and start their business. We don't even have that. So a lot of times we'll try to start a business, but we don't really have the capital. And by that I mean you don't have enough, because when you start off, you're not going to be making money. You got to spend money. You have to spend money because you got to either find your business, you got to get a building, got to pay the electricity bill, water bill. You might have to have some people to work with you.
Yeah.
So all the people got to be paid, but you're not going to get paid
Right.
for a while, might be a few months. So you got to figure out, how do I survive a few months without making income till I get my business established? And I laugh about this because I talked with some young kids out at the what was that not Career Center, but you remember about 10 years ago?
Yeah,
and they were shocked when I told them, I said, well, you know, in order to start a business, you got to figure out, you're going to make money. They might pay you $500 for a job, but then you got to pay taxes on that. You got to have insurance. And they started saying, what? I said, well, this is what it means to do a business.
Yep.
So you got to, when you calculate your expenses, you got to figure out, how much do I have to make so that I can make a decent income from this? And then I say, and what the key ingredient is that you got to be reliable. So if you do a job for somebody, you tell them what the price is, and tell them, and don't cheat.
Yeah.
If you said that was a price, you do the job, do it well, and I guarantee you, they will call you back.
Right.
And they'll let their friends know about you. And before you know it, you'll be in demand. And then you can say, well, you know, I can raise my prices up a little bit because people know and I can make a little bit more profit. And that's how you do it. And unfortunately, we don't have that history in our community because, again, most of us don't have anything we can fall back on. So it's hard for us to start businesses.
Yep.
And that's where I would believe a decent government would have men in jail, women in jail, and give them a leg up if they have that skill. If you say, well, this guy was a welder before he left, before we put him in jail. And he doesn't want to come back out here to this jail. Let's figure out, he can't get a job now. Maybe we can give him a little leg up so he can get a business going.
You mentioned that you were interested in finding a way for men and women, once they get out of jails and prisons, to be able to have a life worth living. They can pursue happiness that comes from somewhere. Like Dr. King said, somewhere.
Declaration of Independence.
From the Declaration of Independence, where you can have life and, pursuit of happiness. Okay, check this out. About 2 months ago, might have been shorter than 2 months ago, I contacted the workforce people.
SC Works or a different thing?
I contacted the head of, and I would call the man's name, but I won't.
Okay.
Who heads up the Sumter Economic Development faction.
Okay.
Of Sumter. It's called Sumter Economic Development Group. They got a place on Liberty Street.
Okay.
Big building, high-story building. And there is a gentleman who heads up that organization. The people in the social world that look up this guy's name. Heads up, president and CEO of the workforce division of the Sumter Economic and Development Group here in Sumter, South Carolina. Headquarters of Liberty Street, Sumter. I wrote a long email specifying the fact that there are many people, a significant number of people who are incarcerated who have skills. There are welders, electricians, plumbers, you name it, heating and cooling specialists. Some of the guys focus themselves on lawn care. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to have money even to cut grass, because you got to have edgers and all kind, riding lawnmowers and stuff, and they don't have. They have a push lawnmower. But anyway, I wrote the Sumter Economic and Development Group and said all those things and asked them to join in with the Family Unit Incorporated, which is my group, in an endeavor, in an initiative set up particularly focusing on people who have been incarcerated or imprisoned, because these individuals have a hard time finding employment once they are out. We have a certain person that we know is locked up right now in Sumter County a welder, has been doing welding for years. We were so glad that young fella got that training and that job, and he can reach back and help his family. Now he's locked up for 6 months. Now he's lost his job.
Right.
By the time he get out of jail, his job is gone.
Yep.
So I focused that in this letter to the workforce people of Sumter County, the city of Sumter County, South Carolina. I want to make sure they know it's South Carolina because there's also a Sumter,
Florida.
Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause I get emails from them sometimes thinking that I'm in Florida. So it's a city of Sumter in Florida, Sumter County in Florida, but no, we're talking about South Carolina. And I get
Sumter County in Georgia, too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Okay, check this out. I received no answer whatsoever from the workforce people in Sumter, South Carolina. No answer. Simple. Silence. And the reason why I jumped with the workforce people, because there is right now competition out there. Workforce South Carolina. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Workforce South Carolina people because they are connected with what I'm about to talk about. They had online. If you have an organization that help people get jobs and so forth, you can put your name out there and be recognized by the governor and the state. There's no money. That's all shoot out really some money for my group. They said they ain't got no money.
Yeah.
But I said, I'm going to put the family unit name out there anyway, because we do try to help people get jobs once they get out of jail. We do give away homes to people who used to be in jail. We got a family right now. Actually, it's 2 families living in a big house. They don't have to pay no rent, but they have to make sure the kids go to school. I said, yeah, the family unit is doing all of that. That's okay, Brenda Williams. Go ahead and put your name in the slot and see if the family unit will be selected for this recognition. Possibly if the family unit name is put out there, somebody out there in the world might see our organization's name and might contribute to us. And all the money, I said, will go to the family. We don't have no need for the money. We just want these families to have money, to have housing and flushing toilets, have a toilet that works, have a roof that doesn't leak and so forth. Okay, now check this out. So I said, well, I tell you what, Sumter always talking about workforce, economic development. And you know one thing, check this out. On the Economic Development Group Committee, headed up by Mr. Greg Thompson, who's a multimillionaire here in town, who's building the Sumter Museum right now, Thompson Construction. Multi-millionaire, live right here in Sumter. Okay, now he heads up the Economic and Development Group. And you know who's on his committee? The mayor of Sumter. The city manager is on his committee. Mr. Laurel Smith, Speaker of the House, he's on the committee. Mr. James McCain, chairman of the county council, is on that committee. I said, oh, they got some big wigs up here on this committee talking about economic development. Got the mayor, got the city manager, you got the Speaker of the House on the committee. I said, oh, Lord, let me see what all these powerful people who talk about education, talk about the workforce, want workers to be trained to do stuff. Let me see what they have to say about people getting out of jail who need jobs, who need training, who need skills, to help them re-enter community and help them to assimilate in the community that they have been absent from. Help those fathers who've been locked up for lack of child support. They help them to get a job. How are they going to pay child support when they're locked up in jail? And then the child support money keeps rising every month.
Yep.
While these men and some women locked up for child support. So I'm saying to myself, okay, all the talk. My husband and I hate folk. I used to hate the word hate, but hate folk that just do a lot of talking.
Yes.
Just do a lot of talking.
Make no
we're
sacrifices.
We're for families and we're for this. Shut up and show us what you're going to do.
Yeah.
If you say that we Christians Onward Christian soldiers. Okay, that's a fine song. Y'all Christian soldiers. But God needs soldiers who are committed and strong and bold. God, there's also a song. I always know gospel song. God don't need no coward soldier. I think Shirley Caesar sings that song. So he doesn't need, God might be a woman, might be a man, I don't know. But what is needed is not a lot of talk, people. Get out and help people. And people need basic needs. Okay, if you want those children to be able to do homework, they have to have proper lighting on their computers, because nowadays they don't do paper and pencil homework. They need lighting. The family needs a bathroom with a working toilet, something simple. People take for granted. You go to the bathroom, you want it to be able to flush when you finish. You want to be able to wash your hands. You want to be able to take a shower. Basic needs. You want to be able, when it's raining outside, for the rain not to come into the house. You need a roof that's sustainable and solid.
Brenda, let me say something too, because I like what you said about the talking. People who talk a lot about what they're going to do. You know, and I had to talk about this. You know, we have, growing our generation, you know, we were so happy in 1965 when the Voting Rights Act was passed and we were able to elect Black representatives, you know, first this, first that, first this. Now we are 2 generations removed from that. So what my wife and I feel very strongly is that Black people who are now politicians, and we need politicians, but if you're a politician, if you're a Black politician, we have to judge you more than by your skin color, what color you are. What are you actually doing? Are you actually trying to change things? Or are you just there because the name sounds good? I'm this, I'm that. I want to see, what are you actually doing? Are you advocating for those people that you represent? If you represent a certain section of the city, are you going out and finding out what their needs are? Or are you just sitting there, just all I want to do is collect this little bit of salary I'm getting and get my name up and figure out how I can get more money? Because we're way beyond that now. And that's why we don't like this thing about people having positions and political positions who they've been there for so long. People say, well, that's their position. You shouldn't run against them. No, every politician in our community needs to have an opponent. Every time they run, they should have an opponent. Because and that opponent should say, well, what did you do during your last term? What did you say you were going to do? What did you actually accomplish? So that the people can see, so we can have people. We need different people. We need people your age, young man, to run for office. And I know it's difficult because you got to go to work and you got to figure out how to make a living. So unfortunately, a lot of older people don't have that time and that money pressure on them. But we definitely need younger people to get involved. And we need to let young people lead sometimes. And that's all the organizations in our community. Nobody should have a position that says that I am in this position because I've been in this position for many, many years and it belongs to me. No. Because I believe in democracy. I believe in democracy. I believe that that all people are equal. That we should be represented by people who are concerned about their community. Not people who are just, I don't really care about there being another millionaire, another ball player. But I do care about what's going on in South Sumter. I want to see the people raise up. I want to see people making a decent living wage, no matter what job they have, because we depend on each other.
You sound like you're running for mayor right now.
No, I'm not.
Because, I'm just saying.
But
you're talking good.
But I like that. It takes a certain person to be a politician.
For sure.
Yeah, what I mean, and that's a skill set I don't have. And my wife can get elected, but she get thrown out within a matter of 2 months. Because she be actually doing what she's trying. What she's gonna do. And so a politician has to figure out a way. Can I get in? and can I do?
Okay.
Let me do some things, but you can't do because
It's
you
a
got
balance.
You got to do it. You got to
Can't
deal.
do
You
it
got to
all-
deal with
yeah.
other
Yeah.
people,
Yep.
and you got to figure out how to get. But you got to be an effective politician. Again, I'm telling them what to do, but they know they should
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But we got to have people who represent us like that. And I'm a follower. Like what Jessica Simpson says, I'm a follower, but I have to know where you leading me.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna go anywhere with you unless I think you know where you're going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you know one thing, check this out. I go to many meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my Lord.
I see you. I see you.
I go to many meetings. School board meetings I used to go to a lot. They threw me in jail. I don't know if you knew I got
I
arrested.
didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Got
check
put in
this
jail.
out now. I ain't gonna talk long. I declare I'm not gonna talk long. But I went at the last part of 2019. I went to, no, back up, 2018, when the public school system, Sumter Public School System, said they were going to close some schools in rural Sumter County because of low enrollment in those schools and a low fund balance that the school was talking about. They were lacking money because a few years before that, they found one man in the school system had embezzled about $20 million and some change. And he had some of his friends. He gathered some friends around and said, I'm going to give you a card. School.
So they went down with
So
him.
they bought cars
Dang.
and took trips and stuff on the school system. But anyway, check this out. So that was 2018 when the school district said, okay, in Sumter County, we're going to have to close about 4 schools because we don't have a lot of money and the schools don't have a lot of enrollment. So my husband and I, by God's grace, said, well, they don't need to close schools in Sumter County. Out there in the county, well, the rural areas, they need schools. But fast forward all of that, and we went touring schools. My husband, myself, and our grandsons, who were kind of little, went to tour schools, talked to the principal, said, can we come to your school? Your school is on the slate for being closed. We want to see what we can do to help keep that school open. So we went one summer touring the school. We said, there's a doggone good schools here, predominantly Black.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to keep these schools open. Look, y'all talking about closing the schools. So fast forward, I wrote letters to the newspaper, talked to the school board umpteen times, went to every meeting, stayed after executive session, staying for hours in school board meetings, said, y'all don't need to close the schools. Then I said to myself, okay, so you need to go out to some of these schools, the other schools y'all hadn't visited. One of them was the Sumter County Career Center on McCrae's Mill Road, Sumter. Predominantly Black student body, yes, and they have students from all different schools going and getting trades. Our daughter, middle daughter, went to the health science division of that school. Then she got to be a nurse. But anyway, I wrote letters. I said, I want to come out there to tour your school. One day, I went out there and it was freezing in the school. I had an overcoat on. I said, dog, it's cold in this school. The secretary said, hey, Dr. Williams, how are you? I said, well, I'm not doing so good, y'all, because it's cold in this school.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, that's nothing unusual, Dr. Williams, because we haven't had any heat in this school for 5 years. I said, huh? You got to be lying. They said, no, ma'am, we're not lying. They said, during the summer, we don't have air conditioning. So it seemed like, to me, and I talked to the principal. I said, is it true, ma'am, that you all haven't had heat in this school for 5 years? She said, yes, ma'am. I toured the school. I'm with my camera. That's why I told you, use that camera now.
Yeah.
I'm with my cell phone camera. I'm taking pictures. Well, the school district did not like the fact that I started videotaping. I went to them and sat in a chair and talked to the board. I said, y'all need to really not close their schools. What you need to do, start with that school that hadn't had heat for 5 years, blah, 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 get the heating and cooling system. They said, no, they're looking all around and paying no attention to me. So I said, okay. Wrote them a letter. I said, I'm coming out there February 19th, 4:30, year 2020. I want to tour that school because last time I was there, y'all had no heat. Well, the principal said to me, Black woman, she said, I can't let you tour the school, Dr. Williams.
She'd been given directive from the superintendent, who was a black woman too.
Black superintendent told her, don't you dare let Dr. Williams tour that school. Dr. Williams be taking pictures and stuff. The school board banned me from touring all the schools in Sumter.
Wow.
Okay, now, fast forward all of that. Well, sir, I gave him a letter. I told him 6 months ahead, I'm going to be at the Career Center February 19th, 2020, 4:30. I sent an email early that morning. I said, this is just a friendly reminder. I'm going to be at your school today.
Yeah.
Well, so fast forward all that. Pick up my grandson from school. He was about 9 years old then. But anyway, we went to school. I said, hey. The secretaries looked at me with fear. They said, well, Lord, this crazy behind woman here talking about she's going to be at this school. She knows that she's banned from the school. What is wrong with her? So I met with the principal. She said, now, Dr. Williams, I can tell you anything. I'll answer any question you might have about the school, but I'm not going to let you tour the school, Dr. Williams. I'm not going to do that. I have directives from... At first, I said, I looked at my grandson. He looking at me. I said, okay, ma'am. I got up, walking. Then it seemed like the Holy Spirit said, Brenda Williams, where are you going? Don't you know that you're here standing up for the students out here at this school, sitting out here? I said, you know what, ma'am? I'm not going anywhere. I said, I'm going to tour this school. Well, you just have to call the cops and lock me up.
Yeah.
She said, okay. So she got on the phone and called the city of Sumter's police.
Wow.
They came, 2 officers, and I told my grandson, it's on Facebook. I got 40,000 views in one day on that, me being arrested.
Yeah.
I told my grandson, I said, tell you what, Zion, call Papa. Tell Papa I'm being arrested.
I'm getting ready to go to work, by the way.
Wow.
All this happened.
And so the officers came and we talked and so forth. I said, the school has not had any heat in it for 5 years and no air conditioning and doing the summer for 5 years. And I want to tour this school because it's a right of mine as a citizen, being citizen. It's the right of the students. They can't learn under such conditions. Okay, now, so the officer said to me, well, Dr. Williams, this school does not want you arrested. We don't want to arrest you, Dr. Williams. But if you don't leave here right now from this campus, we're going to have to take you to jail. I told Zion, that's what I told Zion. I said, tell Papa I'm going to jail. I was handcuffed behind my back. Got handcuffed me. And as I was walking out of the jail, I got it all on film.
Yeah.
As from my camera and from the cops' camera. The cops say, well, I got my camera too. I said, good, sugar poogle. I'm glad you got your camera, because I got mine. Okay, now, so as we're walking out, I walked past the principal. Like I said, she's a woman, black woman, just like me. You would think that. I said, ma'am, you know your school has not had any air conditioning or heat in 5 years with these students out here trying to matriculate and study. You know that. She didn't say anything. She looked at me. Fast forward all of that. I went to jail. I stayed overnight in jail. The next week, I went before the judge, and I had a choice of either accepting his ruling or
Pay a $500 fine, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Pay $584, accept the judge ruling, whatever he's going to rule on me, or take it to trial. And so I decided, I said, no, I want a court trial. This judge don't know nothing about me, even though he black and stuff. And he gonna 9 times out of 10, he gonna lean on the side of the school district. Okay, they got all these high, people with all these high degrees and a room full of them.
Yep.
And here go me. And so I saw my jury trial. That was in 2020.
That shocked them, by the
That
way.
shocked them because they thought that I was just going to say, well, whatever the judge. At first, I started to say that. I started to say, well, yeah, I'll just let the judge go ahead. Because I said, we're going to have to pay a lawyer and stuff. We ain't got that kind of money. And then it seemed like the Holy Spirit said, Brenda Williams, won't you just shut up? Won't you just shut up? Go ahead. You stand up for right. But anyway, one of the officers smiled. I said, officer, come here a minute. We were sitting in the court getting ready to go up before the judge. This was a week after I was arrested. I said, officer, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to let the judge give me no judgment on my case. I want a jury trial. The officer started smiling. Guess he said, all right now, come on.
Yeah.
2 years afterwards, in 2022, December 1st, 2022.
And we did have to pay a lawyer, but I can tell you,
thousands of dollars.
but that money, I feel so good about paying those thousands of dollars because. Go ahead.
We won't name the lawyers.
No.
We tried all the lawyers in Sumter. Well, first we started with the black lawyers.
Yeah.
So we black.
They wasn't going for it? Wow.
There was one, but he got cold feet. We won't call his name.
And I hate to say it, the one that you were talking about initially, we asked him too.
He didn't want to do it either. That's crazy.
Okay, now, so anyway, check this out. We spent thousands.
But
we got one lawyer.
Money well spent.
Yeah, money well spent. Spent thousands of a lawyer out of town, and he just vanished after we paid him some money, thousands of dollars. He vanished. We said, Lord have mercy. Then I started to represent myself. I said, well, shoot, man, that lawyer know my case better than me.
Yep.
And so I started, getting prepared. Then seemed like 1 week before I went to trial, seemed like the Holy Spirit said, Brenda Williams, go back to that computer and do some more research and find some lawyer somewhere that could deal with this. And I called a lawyer out of town. He was in Columbia. Matter of fact, he was a white guy. We didn't care about the color. I went for our own people first to see if they had the courage and the audacity and the strength and the boldness to represent with this case. And our lawyers just kind of, but anyway, I went to trial, and you know what? It was strange. It was strange the way. Okay, first they were trying to figure out what the heck we gonna do with Brenda Williams. That was when black folk like yourself, ourselves, speak up and speak out. They're scared of.
They don't like that.
No.
White folk get threatened. Black folk who shuck and jive
They get threatened too.
get threatened too. So the case went from the Sumter School District versus Brenda Williams. They changed that. To the city of Sumter versus Brenda Williams. They changed that. To the state of South Carolina versus Brenda Williams. They changed that. The judge, come on now. The judge excused himself from the case at the last minute. He said that I called his brother a racist. I can't say it without laughing. I called his brother a racist in the newspaper.
And it was actually me who had written a letter.
And then you didn't say racist. You just said
No, I just said that you remember there was a situation where during the Black Lives Matter, they had one woman who
George
apparently
Floyd
was using bad language in front of the police officer.
Yeah.
They arrested her, and apparently she had a record before, but they put her in jail for how many years?
4 years.
For cursing a police officer.
cursing.
It was just trumped up charges.
Wow.
And I said, and I wrote a letter to the editor saying, well, this is ridiculous.
Right.
To give somebody that kind of sentence. And you know what it was? There was collusion among all these politicians,
You know it.
black and white, to put her, they wanted to get rid of her because she had a big mouth.
Okay,
They wanted to get rid of her.
Yeah.
You know?
So check this out. Okay, so the judge, my husband wrote the letter editorial in the paper that was a bad judgment. And I got up, I was a part of a rally in front of the courthouse, downtown Sumter. It's on my Facebook page, talking about this young lady, Brittany Martin is her name, bold, strong, young black woman. And they gave her a sentence of 4 years imprisonment She didn't throw no bricks. She didn't hurt nobody. She just cursed out a couple of cops, and they gave her 4 years. Okay, now so I was part of a rally in favor of Brittany. My husband wrote a paper, and okay, so the judge said, in my case now, hey, he's doing a whole lot of finagling. In my case, they charged me for trespassing. When I went out to that school, the Sumter County Career Center, I wanted to tour the school. I didn't want to do anything else. Tour the school. Yes, I was going to take pictures. They call it trespassing because I didn't leave when the cops told me to leave. Okay, the first time in jail ever. I've never been arrested. Okay, now, so.
Tell about the trial. That's
okay, the trial. I told you it was South Carolina versus Brenda Williams when they finally figured out who they're going to charge.
And what attorneys came over? Tell me.
The prosecutors from the state of South Carolina, you know, the same prosecutors that put Alec Medor in prison for murdering his wife and son.
Yep.
They came to Sumter on me
For trespassing.
for trespassing at a school. The head prosecutor,
Alan Wilson?
No, but his
Alan Wilson, assigned
these guys.
John Medor, Medor. He was one of the guys that went up against Alec Medor.
These were capital punishment attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, who came to Sumter to try a trespassing case at a school.
Yeah. Okay, check this out. John, John, Medor, Medor. Y'all look him up. Google it. His specialty is high-profile capital murder. He came
For you.
Sumter. And not only him, 3 other attorneys came.
What?
The same attorneys that sat in the courtroom against Alex Medor
That's it.
came to Sumter, to Brenda Williams' trespassing case. And you know what happened? We were in court 8 hours.
Because they let you talk. They let you talk.
My lawyer told me, when you get up on that stand, you talk as much as you want to.
Sure, they did let her talk.
They messed up.
He messed up. And so,
But I think they did that
yeah,
to make sure that she could not
They
say that it was
had
an
to
unfair
make-
trial.
they
So they
had
let
to
her.
make sure
They
I
let the
didn't
judge
win
didn't say
that
anything.
case.
The prosecutor, they just let her talk.
Let her
yeah,
talk.
I talked for 8 hours. The judge said, Dr. Williams, you think you want to take a break? I said, no. And at one point, I'm
that's so
not
funny.
lying, I slept for you. My husband had to go back to the hospital
to go
see
work.
some patients. My children were there. Grandchildren were in the courtroom. And Timmy, one of our friends of the young fellow used to be locked up in jail one time. About him, he was there. But anyway, check this out. Fast forward all of that. It was predominantly black jury.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There was only 6 people though. There were only 6 people on the jury.
Was it 6?
Yeah, 1 or 12. It was 6 people. So it was
Okay. Well,
like 4
anyway.
black and 2 white. I think.
Yeah. They judged me guilty of trespassing. And the fine could have been I go to jail for an additional 30 days or pay $584. But the judge, after he called for the verdict, he said, and the jury said, we find Dr. Brenda C. Williams guilty of trespassing. So my lawyer said, okay, I want to
Poll the jury.
poll the jury. Let's poll the jury, see if everybody, and it was unanimous. They said I was guilty. Okay, now, because the police told me to leave and I did not leave. Okay, now, so my lawyers said, Dr. Williams, the judge, want to talk to you. So he called me and my lawyers up there. The judge looked at me. He shook my hand. He said, Dr. Williamson, just like that. He said, I thank you and your husband for what y'all do for the community.
Wow.
He
Is a
said,
white judge or black
Black
judge?
judge.
Black judge?
The white judge bowed out. That was the one that said, I call it racist.
Yeah.
Okay, now, then the prosecutor, John Medor, the same one that put Alec Medor in prison. Alec gonna get a due trial.
Yep.
That coming. But he came over to me the prosecutor. He reached out his hand. He said, Dr. Williams, thank you for the voters, for the help you've given all these voters in this state. Thank you for what y'all doing for the community. I said, well, thank you. Then I went and talked to all of these other attorneys. They had a crowd of attorneys from the solicitor's office. I said, hey, how are you? I said, what's your name? And I shook all of them. I said, thank you for coming to Sumter. Then finally, I turned to the principal who picked up that phone and called the cops on me and hugged her too. I hugged her too. She whispered in my ear, my right ear, thank you, Dr. Williams. I said, well, thank you.
Right.
So I said all that to say that, check this out. Somebody might ask the question, well, why are you going to be so stupid as to go around hugging people and shaking their hands and stuff? Your enemies.
Yeah.
But there is a saying, you keep your friends close,
But keep your enemies closer.
but keep your enemies closer. So I didn't look at all those folk as my enemies. No, I welcomed the challenge. It was like civil disobedience. They said you were being disobedient. They told you to leave the premises and never come back to this place. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I said all that to say this, and I had my family. You talk about family, you talk about what makes us stronger. You were asking us individually and collectively, my husband and I, what makes us stronger? We truly believe that's why we're here today.
Yep.
Because you want to know so you can relay and project and distribute this information out there. What is the problem, y'all? What's your diagnosis? Your doctors. There's such a thing in medicine called a differential diagnosis. That means that, okay, doctor, what do you think is the problem here? This morning before I came here, I went to get a CAT scan done. A few hours before. Computerized tomography, big words. Special kind of x-ray to find out if I had some blood clots in my lungs. Today, this morning. Yesterday, I had some other scans, and thank God they came back fine. So, but the doctor, who was a Black doctor, wonderful man, Dr. Ugo Okereke, is our family doctor, Cedars Medical Clinic. But anyway, fast forward all of that. When I told my doctor, my husband specializes in internal medicine, geriatric medicine, medical directorship, seeing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, sick people. We're not God. We can't cure anybody. We don't have the power of God, but God allowed us to imbibe and get knowledge into our head. But check this out. Hello. When a person comes before us and say, I have thus and so, I have shortness of breath, we have to figure out, why is this person short of breath? It could be their heart. It could be their lungs. It could be blood clots breaking loose from the legs and traveling up to the lungs. It could be this and that. So we call those diagnoses differential. We have to figure out what the heck is wrong here. Good blood work, urine tests, etc., EKGs, x-rays. Okay, now, so to figure out what's wrong, even after all those tests, sometimes you still don't know what's going on. Okay, now, so what you are doing, sir, Illa Gezey, Mr. Illa Gezey, is trying to get a differential diagnosis here. You're trying to figure out what is the problem with our people, with community, with the world. What is the problem? Why is there so much distrust among us and all this kind of stuff? We've been married 51 years. What's our answer? If you stayed together that long, that's significant. You don't hear numbers like that much nowadays.
You don't.
About people getting married. So we honor you for even asking the question, for even being wise enough to say, "There's something going on here, y'all. Something going on. And if we can't figure it out, we're in trouble."
Yep.
But there is an answer. We are so grateful to you. And I'll say this, and I'm going to hush. My gray hairs here came after many years. I'm 74 years old. I was 74 years old January 1st, okay, of this year. Am I 74 or 75? Yeah.
74.
Sometimes I forget. My husband's 75. He's 75 this year. Oh, okay, check this out. We practically raised one another. You might say, well, that conflicts what you said earlier. You said your parents influenced you. Now you're saying your husband helped raise you. What the heck are you talking about? I'm saying that our influence from our parents were the grounding.
Yes, that's right.
The foundation. And then when we combined, I was 20 years old when we met. You were 21 when we met. Okay. And now we're in our 70s. So we've been together over a half a century. We grew up together, that journey that we have taken together. We're still on a journey.
Yep.
Yes.
We're still on a journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not perfect. I'm not perfect. He screws up and makes mistakes. I screw up all the time.
Yeah.
And make mistakes. Somebody out there might say, well, she say she screw up all the time. I thought she was a God-fearing person. I thought she was a Christian. How's she talking about God is the center of my life, but yet you screw up? Yeah, God is the center of our lives, but we know that we're not perfect and that we have faults and
Yes.
stuff, frailties. But together, if all of us understood that we have frailties and faults and shortcomings,
And that we're all dependent upon each other.
and that we're dependent upon one
All of us.
another
Yep.
for survival, we can make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I need you. You need me.
Yes.
I do got a question. What did the school ever get the air and heat fixed?
I would never know.
You
know
can't go
why?
back?
I have been banned for life.
Wow.
If I put one toe on the grounds of Sumter County Career Center, I will be arrested and taken to jail. But you know one thing they know, though, the people that know me know that one day I'm going to challenge that.
Oh, yeah. Got to.
And I'm going on that campus.
Oh, yeah.
And the minute they see me, and the judge, and even my lawyer said afterwards, they said, Dr. Williams, you ought to run for school board or something.
That's what I was saying.
You ought to be on. Have you ever heard of somebody going to jail because the school didn't have heat? Come on now.
That's crazy.
Okay, now, so I choose not to be no political office or whatever, not running for anything, don't want to run. We feel that the younger people like yourself need to take the lead.
Yes.
And
Yes,
we
yes,
back
yes.
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some folks say, well, they
And
don't.
you can ask us for some advice.
Right.
But you're not obligated to take
not
our
obligated
advice.
to take the advice. And
Right.
learn through experience.
Yes.
And a lot of folks say, well, he or she doesn't have the experience needed.
Yeah.
They don't know. I say, shut up all of that talking.
Yeah.
Let that young person get out there anyway.
Yeah.
Young people run.
Yeah.
And
Run for
let
office.
them lead the way.
That makes sense.
And you learn through trial and error. A part of success is failure.
And you also learn by asking advice from your elders.
Yes.
That's how our community, and that's what they should offer as
And
advice.
that's part
But
of
they
why I
should not-
brought y'all here too,
They should
because
not get in the way.
y'all got a lot of knowledge, and we rarely get to talk to people of y'all age
Yeah.
and have these kind of conversations, which we need to have more often to bring together the bridge and the
Yes.
disconnect between the young and the elders.
Yes. And you know one thing, we didn't mention our family. We have 3 adult daughters. Our oldest daughter spent 20 years in the Army after finishing school at Georgia Tech and Spelman College in electrical engineering and mathematics. And she just retired about 3 years ago from the Army, and she works helping veterans in Colombia. Our middle daughter went to the same school that we're talking about that didn't have heat, but during the time she went to the school had heat and air conditioning and stuff. She got to be a nurse, registered nurse, and she died suddenly, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. December 1st, 2023, she died suddenly. And we have her 2 sons
Yes.
who are young men. The oldest one is 25 now. He'll be
25.
26 in December. Then the youngest one will be 17
In August.
But anyway, we have her 2 sons, and she was a registered nurse. Then we have our youngest daughter, who is 37 years old now, and she works at a hospital system with patients care
Atrium Health.
at Atrium Health. Okay, now, and we get into political discussions with our children.
Mm-hmm.
And the grandchildren choose just to, not even take this, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
and so forth. And we get and sometimes we get to the point we're just like this weekend when we had our wedding celebration. I make an announcement. I said, okay, no politics here today.
Yeah.
We just go eat cake and ice cream.
Right.
Because we can get into some discussions.
Yeah.
My husband will say, y'all got to study your history. They said, Daddy, we know our history, but we know, but it's healthy.
They don't study enough.
Right.
But this is what he said. But it's healthy discussion.
Yeah.
We don't get in there and fight and cuss and shoot and stab.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn. And it's beautiful when families, brothers and cousins and stuff, can get together and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hear somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody doesn't agree with you doesn't make them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make you right.
Right.
Because you have a position.
Right.
See? And so we talk because we are different generations, my husband and I. And my husband and I, compared to our children, and grandchildren, with different generations. I am more radical. My husband calls me sometimes a loose cannon. You're on a ship that boom, boom.
You can imagine everybody. So everybody's done. Look out. But anyway.
Yeah.
No, we there are certain things that, and as my wife, long before I met her, that again, I believe, as I've talked about, what we need to be doing for society. It is not I think we're beyond, I am an African American. I am so proud of my African heritage, but I'm also American.
Right.
Our ancestors have been here since I can trace back almost to the 1700s. So we've been here a long, long time. So I'm not going to let myself be relegated to any kind of second-class citizenship.
Right.
I stand on the shoulders of many people. I know how hard my mother and father worked, and my grandparents and the great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents were slaves. So I'm not going to let anybody relegate me to second-class citizenship.
Right.
I am just as good as anybody, but I'm no better than anybody.
Thank you.
Right.
And I want to be treated with respect, and of course, I treat people with respect.
Yes.
And I believe that the society we've gotten is kind of going off the rails with this greed. We look at what we got for president.
Right.
They just say a low life. I hate to call it. I hope he's not scumbag. Okay.
Yeah.
And totally immoral person, and that has to be changed. And we should never let that happen again. We should have people, and I don't care what color they are. I mean, again, we're past that point where we should be so enamored of Black people getting elected political office. Now we need people who stand up
boldly,
who will not be afraid of saying, no, this is not right.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you want me to say because you want me to go along and get along, but I come out of a different experience.
Right.
I want them to stand up. I want them to stand up. That's
speak
what we
up
want.
and speak out.
That's right. And then show
when
ways.
you throw a rock.
Don't hide your hand.
Some folk throw a rock and hide their hand. And when you throw a rock, say, yeah, I threw it. That's right. And that rock symbolizes standing up for right, standing up for right, standing up for right.
Stopping the insanity. Stop right here.
So, yes, sir. And we thank you. We know that we have talked a good while.
Y'all have. But it was impactful and important. And initially, I only wanted to interview you. And I think about a week or two,
Right.
you said your husband was coming. So I looked into him and And I'm so appreciative for both of y'all coming
Yes.
that I wanted to present something special
Oh,
for
my
y'all because
goodness.
y'all didn't charge me nothing. I appreciate that.
Charge.
Well, yeah, you'd be surprised. I ask people for interviews and they charge me this, whatever it may be. But this right here,
Oh my
so the camera can
God.
see, this is
Oh,
a special recognition award
look at that.
presented to Dr. Brenda Williams and Dr. Joseph C. Williams for your outstanding dedication to healthcare, leadership, and service to the Sumter community. Your commitment to serving others, educating the community, and inspiring positive change reflects the highest standards of compassion, integrity, and excellence. So this is to thank you for your continued contributions and for sharing your story on the audience of Real Talk with Illa Gezey.
so
And this is for
impressed.
Oh
y'all.
my God.
Y'all can hang it up,
So,
keep it, however.
Oh my goodness.
Just wanted to show my appreciation because I seen what y'all do. I watch, I study everybody that I want to interview. I studied them.
Yeah.
When you told me we was interviewing with him, I
Yeah.
studied him. I like you guys' work y'all put in, and I just wanted to be able to thank y'all for coming on here and just telling y'all story.
Yes. And we thank you, sir.
Yes, so
Oh
much.
my goodness.
you know, it just pulls at our heartstring
Oh,
to see people in your generation
Hmm.
step out, you know, because we know how tough it is.
Oh, it's
I
tough.
mean, it's tougher for you all than it was for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we came out of a situation where we knew, you know, hey, nobody's going to help us out. But you all were grown up in an area where things were supposed to have been all settled.
Yeah.
But we know they're not.
I get racist comments, racist DMs for speaking out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that just
yeah,
makes me
yeah.
want to keep going.
Yes,
I just want to keep
thank
going
you.
and make them mad because
Thank
obviously
you.
I'm doing something right.
Yes. Yeah.
And if y'all got any final words y'all would like to
Yes.
relay,
Yes.
we here for it.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Illa Gezey. Thank you for allowing us to talk to your audience and let them see from our perspective as elders of the community what we've gone through. But our stories are not unique. I mean, we're just part of a generation that we know about segregation. We grew up during that time, and we know some of the things. And we also appreciate what our parents did, what people did who came before you, because we know that the world did not start with our generation. And this is something I have to remind the younger generations. There's a lot going on before you. And you wouldn't believe all the things that people have had to sacrifice to get you where you are.
Yes. And finally, Mr. Illa Gezey, I want to say on behalf of my husband, Dr. Joseph C. Williams, and I, Dr. Brenda C. Williams, and the Family Unit Incorporated, our little 501c3 organization, we appreciate being invited here today. This is a great cause. Mr. Illa Gezey is putting out to the world, challenging all of us in our communities, large communities, small communities, to think big, be selfless instead of selfish. I learned a little quick song, y'all, when I was in the 4th grade. It goes like this. Now, I believe this is what Mr. Illa Gezey's program is all about, and we're going to give him a donation to help him in this initiative. Because it takes money, y'all. This young fellow works and has this environment. The song goes like this. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Each man's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will defend. Each man is my brother. Each man is my friend.